Dolphins taking on the Green Bay Packers as the nightcap for Thanksgiving Day. Matchup that matters. What do we got?
It's got to be Josh Jacobs against this Dolphins run defense. And it's also due to the fact, so Josh Jacobs, top 5 in most major metrics for running backs. He's got 46 missed tackles forced on runs, which is 4th. And his 48 rushes gaining a first down are tied for 4th. That's wonderful. But what is really awesome about Josh Jacobs and this Green Bay rushing offense is just how incredibly versatile and multiple it is. You look at, especially coming out of the bye, I think that game against Chicago, the Packers ran the out of duo. I don't know if I can swear on this. They ran the shit out of duo. How?
Yeah, there you go. That works. You can do it.
All right. They ran the shit out of duo. And then you look at that game last week, and I don't think they ran duo once. They're drastically changing up their run scheme game by game, which is really stressing defenses and not really allowing them to kind of pick up on the tendencies that they otherwise would. And it's resulting in Josh Jacobs being used multiple ways. Again, that game against Chicago, that was a season high, rather, with the Packers in receiving yards. And that's not something that we had really seen of Josh Jacobs before Green Bay's bye. And now you're kind of just seeing him utilized in so many multiple ways. And you're going against a rushing defense now with the Dolphins that is pretty good. I mean, they've allowed 1,176 rushing yards, which is the 9th fewest, 34 rushes allowing 10 or more yards, and that's tied for 15, so it's kind of middle of the pack. You have an opportunity to kind of assert yourself on the ground if you're Green Bay. I think so much of what we think about this Green Bay offense is through the air, what Jordan Love has at his disposal as far as receivers go. But when you now factor in Josh Jacobs into that, and the fact that he can be so effective on the ground, and you've got a change up back as well, it's one of those things where what do you do if you're the Dolphins defense? So I really am looking forward to kind of seeing how this run scheme continues to evolve now that Matt LaFleur is just an adjustment wizard, and they're not really like sticking to one scheme. Like it used to be, teams were just like, oh, you're an inside zone team, you're an outside zone team, you're a duo team, all that other stuff. The Green Bay Packers are all of it and none of it at the same time. So I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, no, the Packers offense built around Josh Jacobs has been great. I mean, like he has been everything that they have wanted him to be since bringing him in. Obviously, when you move on from Aaron Jones, you can't just move on from Aaron Jones for anybody. And obviously, they picked a great guy to bring in and build that rushing attack around, which is fantastic. My matchup that matters is Green Bay's corners, specifically going up against the Miami Dolphins wide receivers, because not only is Miami starting to really hit their groove, right? The first half of last week against the New England Patriots, I know it's New England Patriots, but when Tua was kept clean, I mean, he was fantastic. He had over 200 yards passing. He had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. It was great. I mean, Jaylen Waddle had an incredible game, the best game that he has had so far this season. Jonnu Smith is playing well. We know Tyreek Hill is a constant threat. When you flip to the other side of things, Green Bay's corners have really struggled this season. When you just look at their cornerback group, they're 25th in total coverage grade amongst those corners. And really, it's if you were to take Jair Alexander out of that equation, because he's the only one who has a coverage grade above 70 on the season. If you take Jair Alexander out, it gets ugly. I mean, they have one of the lowest graded cornerback rooms in the NFL. And I don't know if Jair Alexander is going to play in this game. Right? I mean, like he's on the injury report. He
does not have a game designation. So he's fully healthy. So all right. That was what I just saw, according to Marcel. He posted the injury report, Marcel Louis-Jacques, who covers the Dolphins. So I'm going to go double check it right now, but that is what I just saw.
So they desperately need that because, again, without Jair Alexander, they have really been struggling. I mean, Carrington Valentine last week, 31.0 coverage grade, 4 targets, 3 catches, 68 yards allowed. The one incompletion that he had when he was targeted was just a drop. And so it's like, man, they need the rest of the corners need to step up anyways. Even if they have Jair Alexander in this one, which it looks like they will, then
that is the final injury report. It is for the Dolphins. I don't maybe Green Bay isn't in yet because that's what he posted.
Okay,
that there are no, but like Jair did not practice this whole week, but it was also kind of halfway walkthroughs given the short week, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if Green Bay's is actually out.
All that to
Maybe
say,
that's what that is.
the Dolphins have a lot of different ways they can hit you. And the cornerback group just in general really has to elevate itself, because I think we have yet to have a Tyreek Hill has gone nuclear type of a game this season. And this feels as though it could be one of those. Now, obviously, it being in Green Bay is different. People talk about Miami traveling up north in the cold weather and all that stuff. And I don't think it doesn't matter at all. But I also don't think that it's like, oh, okay, well, it's cold weather, that means Miami's going to be terrible. It's somewhere in between. I do think the weather affects that Miami team, but certainly if the corners can't cover in Green Bay, then they've got the firepower and the receivers in the passing game to be able to attack that. So to me, whether Jair Alexander plays or not, Green Bay's corners have got to step up against a really good receiving group for Miami.
As of 2 minutes ago, it came out. So Jair is not playing. And
all right, so he's not playing.
Yeah,
that whole segment was just The Office. Snip, 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 snip.
Yeah, I know. Neither is Edwin Cooper or Romeo Doubs for the Green Bay Packers. So yeah, that could very much sway what happens.
Jair not playing is very bad. So even more so, my point stands. Matchup that matters. They got to step up in that cornerback group for Green Bay. Who's your plus factor in this one?
Yeah, and that's honestly, I mean, Jair is like, the coverage grade is great, but he's also been in and out of the lineup. That's the thing, is like he's left mid-game. He's kind of fought through a bunch of injuries this season. He really hasn't. When he's in there, he's good. But the availability just hasn't really been consistent this season for Jair Alexander. But anyway, I'm going the other side of things because I'm going to Jaylen Ramsey. For the Dolphins, and 83.1 PFF grade, which ranks second among corners. I think we talked about this last week, he's having like the most quiet Jaylen Ramsey season ever, and it's like one of his best seasons ever, but like no one's talking about it. He's not talking about it, which is very uncharacteristic of Jaylen Ramsey. And then he's got 6 catches, allowing 15 or more yards on 358 coverage snaps played. So he's not giving up anything. He's very stingy. And that's something that this Green Bay Packers offense tries to do and can do. The reason they can get these explosives is, again, because they have so many different options. And yes, they will be without Romeo Doubs now for this game. But I struggle to think that that's really an issue for Green Bay, given how many other weapons that they have. When you talk about Jaden Reed and Christian Watson and Dontavian Wicks, even Bo Melton. And then you've got, like I said, Josh Jacobs and then Tucker Kraft. And I mean, I named a full slate of offensive weapons right then and there. And that's not, included. And that's, Romeo Doubs is out. So I do think that Jaylen Ramsey kind of being able to be stingy and take away as many of these guys or whoever he's on, force Jordan Love into some maybe situations that he wouldn't prefer. If he's on the guy that Jordan Love really wants to throw to and Jordan has to throw it to somebody else at the last minute. We've also seen Jordan Love take some risks as far as the decision-making goes. And that's not something the Green Bay Packers want to coach out of Jordan Love by any stretch of the imagination. But it can lead to defensive takeaways. And that's what you have to do against this Green Bay Packers offense.
My plus factor, once again, kind of could have been a sort of a matchup that matters. Green Bay Packers right tackle Zach Tom, who is their best offensive lineman, is going up against Chop Robinson, who over the last 2 weeks, Chop Robinson, the Miami Dolphins rookie pass rusher, he has an elite 90.7 pass rushing grade, He has 17 total pressures, and he has over 41% pass rush win percentage. He mostly lines up over the right tackle, which is where Tom plays. And again, this is strength on strength. Like, this is Miami's best pass rusher versus Green Bay's best offensive lineman. So Zach Tom is the big time plus factor in this one, because if he can neutralize Chop Robinson, Miami still has Zach Slyler, and I'm not saying that they don't have anybody else that can get after the passer, but he has been the player who has been causing the most havoc amongst that Miami Dolphins defensive line, which has been playing a lot better as of late. So that's going to be a fun one to me. Zach Tom's the big time plus factor, because neutralizing Chop Robinson and showing him a little bit of veteran savviness to maybe neutralize him a little bit, slow him down, I think will matter a lot in this game. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below. So if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.